Former DNC interim chair Donna Brazile was on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and the entire segment was completely insufferable. It came off as a very obvious attempt to repair her broken public image, and the entire piece just really felt like a fluff piece. Now, I'll explain to you why I think that's the case, but overall, just generally speaking, she was trying overly hard to be personable, and she randomly brought up sports, for example, and she kept flirting with Trevor Noah, and it just seemed so disingenuous and contrived and even cringeworthy at certain points. But there were a couple of parts in there that I thought were important that really stood out to me. Now, unfortunately, I am not allowed to show you the clip because according to Viacom, who's the owner of Comedy Central, they believe that Trevor Noah's face is so sacred that if I even show a picture of him, they will give me a copyright strike on my YouTube account and threaten to basically kill off my channel. So because of this, I'm not allowed to show you the clips. So what I did, because I love you guys and I want to talk about this segment, is I took a lot of time transcribing everything what was said in this interview, and I didn't even use most of what I transcribed. So basically, I have heard more from Donna Brazile than I ever want or needed to, yet some of what she said still makes no sense to me. So to kind of give you some of the first things that she said that really either perplexed me or rubbed me the wrong way, she said that the position of DNC chair is a thankless job. Nobody's going to thank you, Donna. Nobody feels bad for you. She also stated that she temporarily served as DNC chair before, but this time when she served, it was hell because, quote, the Russians invaded us. Now, knowing that that was an outright fabrication, Noah actually clarified and said, no, they hacked your emails. Now, much like other people within the Democratic Party establishment, when she was asked the question that most media pundits are asking people from the Democratic Party, what the party stands for, like everyone else, she had no answer. So she states, first of all, we had an election for new offices. Tom Perez is the chair of the party. Keith Ellison was named the deputy chair. We have some great people. Karen Carter, Jason Ray, Michael Blake. We have some new energy, new vision in the party. The party needs that. Look, I've been a Democratic Party activist since the age of 9, but this is an opportunity for the party to turn a new page, to have a fresh start. And I do believe that we need more people to run for office. I look around this room right now. There are so many people in this room, not only qualified, but eligible to run, and we need them. And I say, why you? Because there's no one better. And why now? Because tomorrow's not soon enough. Now let me remind you that the question was, what does the party stand for? And this was her response. She espoused platitudes. She just randomly talked about, well, we had elections. Right, we know that we had elections, Donna Brazile. We're all aware of that fact. But the question was what the party stands for, and she had no answer like everyone else. So this is something that wasn't too surprising. But when it got to the 2016 election, Trevor Noah questioned her about the DNC's bias against Bernie Sanders. And this is what Noah said. He said it felt like the DNC was not running itself like a democratic organization. You are someone who's been involved for a long time, like on the real. Would you say that the Democratic Party was trying to sabotage Bernie Sanders? Would you say the Democratic Party, before he entered the race, was an organization that said, hey, Hillary is our person, we don't care who joins the race? Now, Brazile then responded by saying, well, as you well know, to win the nomination, you must have the delegates, and Bernie fell short. That's the simple equation. But Noah thankfully followed up by saying, well, some people would argue that he fell short because he wasn't given the same support that Hillary Clinton was. And this was her response. She states, Hillary has been involved in the party for 25 years. There are people who have known her for most of her adult life, and they supported her. But look, I would not sell Bernie short. What Bernie Sanders did was revolutionary, and then she went on to praise Bernie Sanders, which is interesting. Now, she eventually addressed the failures of the Democratic Party, and for the most part, she was actually pretty reasonable. However, she got to a portion of her response about millennials, and she basically insinuated that millennials are in part culpable for Hillary Clinton's loss because they didn't get out to vote. And Trevor Noah said, well, you know, it's easy to sideline millennials, but they read the WikiLeaks emails, and they saw that you gave Hillary Clinton questions ahead of a town hall. Now, this was her response to that. She said, you know, I can do some confession here. Bless me, Father, I've sinned. I promise not to do it again. Okay, well, first of all, I didn't have my hands in the cookie jar. I'm an operative, I'm a strategist, and part of what my role was, in addition to being a quote-unquote political pundit, was to help advance the cause of justice and equality, okay? So think about, we have 6 debates. I started to fight for more debates. I started to fight to ensure that Bernie and Hillary had an opportunity to talk about these issues, talk about the Flint water crisis, talk about criminal justice reform, and that was my role. The WikiLeaks version is the Russian version. My version is that. Had you seen my emails to Bernie, you would have known that I was communicating with Bernie as much as I was communicating with Hillary and Martin O'Malley, because that's what you do. I'm a Democratic Party strategist. So by saying, bless me, Father, I've sinned, and she was saying this, being half serious, but she was inadvertently admitting that she was guilty of cheating Bernie Sanders and giving Hillary Clinton a town hall question in advance of the town hall. But what she did to illustrate her point was she took a piece of paper and she tore it in half, and then she handed it to Trevor Noah, and she suggested that we only got half of the truth. And, to see the whole truth, what you really have to do is you got to come to Donna Brazile too. So she then put both pieces of paper back together again, as if she said something substantive, but it really wasn't coherent like she thought it was. But Trevor Noah then followed up with a really hard-hitting journalistic response asking, so you gonna write a book? And her answer was, hell yes. So, Trevor Noah kind of guided her into answering this question, but then he completely abandoned the question and the subject altogether and actually changed the subject. Once, Donna Brazile started to kind of fall down the hole and she couldn't really redeem herself. She started to kind of admit her guilt, and she obviously was appearing very disingenuous. She talks about how she helped Bernie Sanders as well. But Donna, there's something that you can do. If you did, in fact, try to help out Bernie Sanders as much as you helped out Hillary Clinton, you can release those emails. You can say, look, here's one example of a communication between my team and Bernie Sanders' team as to how I was giving him advice. But we know that that's not the case, Donna. We know that you were in the tank for Hillary Clinton. Now, what she said next made absolutely no sense to me. And really, I don't know what she was trying to communicate here. This is at timestamp 1450, so if you actually want to see what she's talking about here, I would highly advise you to watch the segment, because this was a piece of work. So finally, this is what she kind of closes with. She states, the truth is that politics is a hard-fought game, and when you're in the battle of fighting to make sure that you have inclusion, to make sure you have diversity, to make sure you have not just the kind of communication, but the kind of conversation with voters, you want to make sure that those kind of topics that is out there. So again, this doesn't really make sense. She continues, the question that you raised with me, you didn't raise it that way, how my boo would do it. 'Cause you're trying to be my priest. Sister, did you give out something? No, baby, I ain't gave nothing. I didn't have nothing to give you. But what I did stir was something that you could cook with. And baby, what you could cook with was burning all over the stove. And the reason why you took a piece of... And the reason why you took a piece of it was because it smells so good, and that all you could do was dip your finger and want more. Donna, nobody knows what you're talking about. If you're a Democratic strategist and this is the type of analogy that you use to kind of help candidates, then wow, this is, no wonder why the Democratic Party is losing. Nobody knows what you're talking about. And she says, I ain't gave nothing. That's her response verbatim. But a couple of minutes ago, she said, well, bless me, Father, I have sinned. But apparently if she's talking to her boo, then she didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what she's trying to say. This is completely incoherent. 1450 is the timestamp. If you actually want to watch this segment, made absolutely no sense whatsoever. So, in one moment, she appears to be admitting her guilt. And then in another moment, she, I guess, is saying that she didn't give Hillary Clinton a town hall question in advance. And then she goes on this incoherent tirade. I have no clue what she's trying to communicate here, but it made no sense. And wow, was this cringeworthy. You have to watch it and see for yourself, because I feel like by reading this quote to you, you're going to think I'm making this up or I'm exaggerating. This is what she said. Verbatim. Now, I may have not gotten the delivery right, but I'm trying to be clear and, communicate what she's saying. But wow, Donna, the fuck are you talking about? So the implication here is that, what she did, I mean, overall, is it wasn't really that bad because she wanted to help Democrats look good in general. So, I mean, if you saw the emails that she was sending to Bernie Sanders, well, you know what? You would have thought that maybe she was even biased in his favor. But in one of the emails, Donna, you literally said that you would cuss the Bernie people out. Your establishment through and through, and not a single person believes that you had any interest in helping Bernie Sanders. So this attempt here to repair your public image is not going to work because, one, nobody knows what you're talking about. You went into some weird cooking analogy, and it was, the way that she said it was awkwardly sexual, and it made me cringe really hard. Second of all, you have no substance. What you're saying here makes no sense. Did you or did you not give him the question? We know that in an op-ed that she wrote for Time magazine, she claims that she does, and she says that she's going to regret it forever. So which is it, Donna? Did you give the question or did you not? Because we're kind of getting a wishy-washy response from you, and nobody really knows what you're talking about because your answer here was completely incoherent. So I don't think that this is going to do you any good, and I don't know why you're trying to repair your public image. You were fired from CNN. You were one of the many people in the establishment and the media that cheated Bernie Sanders and tried to give Hillary Clinton an unfair advantage. I don't think there's really anything that you can do or any reason for you to repair your public image. I mean, are you going to run for office? Are you going to have any part in the Democratic Party? Because if so, then that shows you don't really care about the party because what you're looking out for is yourself and not the party because you are a divisive, toxic figure in politics. So if you honestly care about diversity and equality, which you say you do. You said that you gave Hillary Clinton a question because you care about diversity and criminal justice reform. Well, if that were the case, then you would leave the party and just get out of politics because nobody believes anything that you're saying, Donna. We're not buying it. You were exposed as a liar, and the best thing that you can do right now for the country and yourself is to retire and get out of the public spotlight.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.